That's one trend that we're seeing quite a bit, which is more high net worth individuals participating in this asset class. What I always kind of tell people from anecdotally is 10 years ago, I couldn't look at somebody just on the street and say that I work within venture capital, and they would know, I would never expect them to know what exactly I was talking about, unless I was walking around San Francisco maybe. Now I feel like I can go almost anywhere in the country and talk about venture capital, and people immediately get it, right? And so there's very, very different understanding and very different perception of the venture market. So more people wanting to come into the market, more kind of smaller endowments, smaller foundations, smaller institutions stepping into the market for the first time, and more wealth managers wanting access to the market too. So you've got the rise of companies like Allocate, which is really kind of helping facilitate a lot of that connectivity of capital to wanting to get into this market. So there are a lot more avenues to take for fundraising.
This sounds like a good time to be an emerging manager with all these high net worth individuals, wealth managers, family offices, and so forth coming in. Is that what you're seeing? That as an emerging manager, if you can, make your case that there is capital there.
I do think that. So I think that, to your point, I think that's a really important point, is you have to make your case, right? So you have to make your case for what is your differentiation, whether it be network access, your value proposition that you bring to the table for a portfolio company, your ability to get into competitive deals, et cetera, right? And so really being able to articulate that. But I think the plus and the minus of all of this high net worth capital and individual capital coming into the market is you have to be able to articulate and sell that many, many times over to be able to raise that fund. These are typically smaller checks, and you have to effectively knock on a lot more doors, right? And so I think it just creates a bit more of a it's a longer road for fundraising. I know, and yes, it's harder, of course, because you're having to knock on more doors. But I do think it is a longer road, longer path. And that's one of the biggest questions that we get from kind of a lot of our emerging managers is, hey, is there anybody you can introduce us to, or do you have like a list of family offices or high net worths or anybody that would be interested, right? And so I think that tapping into that capital, yes, there's a lot more searching for access. I think still tapping into that capital is a bit of a black box, right? But like I said, you've got facilitators out there trying to solve a lot of that pain, like Allocate and others, et cetera. And so I think that will progress and that will get better. But I think still we're early days to a certain extent of that level of capital kind of accessing the market.